Hi, this is Jeanette from Happy Spots and Ink Spots. Today what I'd like to talk about is the different styles of Copic markers that are available. Again, this is a question I get a lot. I get a lot of emails from people asking me which type they should invest in. And what I always tell them is it's a matter of preference, and I try to give them the differences and the similarities between the three, and I tell them what I like and what I dislike about them as well. So to start off, I'm going to show you the original marker. As you can see, it has a square barrel. This is something I actually don't like. I don't like the way it feels when I'm holding it. It's rather large, and I just don't find it's comfortable. What I do like about it is that it has the numbers on either end, so it's really easy to grab the color you want right away. The tip on this one, let's see if I can get the cap off here. The tip is quite small. All right, that's the tip you have on this end. Again, this is not something that I like to use. I would imagine if you want to do a lot of fine details, then this would be preferable for you. On the other end, you have the chisel. Okay, I think that's pretty standard on each of these markers. They have the chisel edge on the other end. So that's the original. It is rather large, so it does hold a lot of ink, so you won't have to refill it as often. So that's another pro. The next marker I'm going to show you is the Chow. This is the smaller of the three. I really do like that it is smaller. I love the round barrel. Fits really nicely in your hand. It does hold less ink than the other two, so you would have to refill it quite often. The tips you see here, this is the brush tip. I like this tip very much. It's the same tip that's on the sketch as well. And on the other end you have the chisel. So you have the chisel on this end. It does not have the numbers on the caps, and for me this is a big con. The way I store my markers, I like to be able just to grab the one I want, and with the Chows you would have to either sort of affix labels to the bottom here, which I think is a bit of a pain, or you would have to like pull the marker out and search for the number. The other thing with both of these, actually, with the original and with the Chow, is you can't really use them in the Copic marker airbrush system. So if that is something you're thinking about investing in, that's something to think about. I think you can sort of rig the Chow to get into the airbrush system, but again, I don't like having to fiddle with things. So these are the two that I don't have collected. I have a couple of each that were given to me, but that's not what I use. What I use is the sketch. The sketch has an oval barrel, which feels very comfortable in my hand. I like it because when you put it down, it doesn't roll. When you put the Chow down, it has a tendency to roll around. And I color with a lot of markers, so if they were rolling around and falling on the ground, that would drive me crazy too. So the sketch has a nice oval barrel, doesn't move around. It does have the number on either side, and again it has the same brush as the Chow. It has a nice super brush, which I like very much, and it has the chisel on the other side, and this fits perfectly in your ABS system. You just sort of slide it in and you're good to go. So those are the three styles, and I think those are the pros and cons. The other thing I wanted to show you is the refill. Okay, this is how the refill comes, and you know, you just have to buy the colors that you use the most. The way I refill my marker is I always use from the chisel edge, never use from the brush edge, because you can really damage that. It's pretty hard to damage it, but if you pull on it to pull it out of the marker barrel, you're going to disturb the fibers. So what I do always, and of course it's probably preferable to use the right color, right? But this is just to show you. You just pull out the chisel like that. It comes out, and you would open up your refill. Okay, and I just drop it in like that. There is like a booster needle you can buy. Frankly, I don't want to be fiddling with needles, so I just do it like that. So that's how you refill your marker. And I'll show you also the this is the Colorless Blender. You can buy a big sort of refill of this, and it's a good investment. It's not that expensive, and I find, I mean, that's the marker I do refill the most, is my Colorless Blender. So that's a little bit of an overview of the different markers. And the other thing I wanted to show you is this is a trick I found on split coasters when I first started coloring. And what you do is they have color charts. You can get them right off split coasters. And you print the color charts off on the paper that you color with. So in my case, I printed it off on Neenah cardstock. And then you just take your markers and you just color in all the corresponding squares. And this gives you a really nice idea of the true color on your paper, because different papers do yield slightly different shades with the same marker. So it's nice to have a really true idea of what that marker actually looks like. And I use this all the time. I have all the groups, the color groups on this sort of clipped together like this. I put it in some plastic protectors, and I pull this out all the time. I take my designer paper that I'm going to be coloring with or using on my card, and I match it up. I find that take the shades right out of the designer paper. So that's a really great thing to do. And also you can take this, I take this to my craft store if I want to be buying extra markers, or I want to know what markers I'm missing. Then I can tell by the little blank spaces that's not actually a marker that I have. Alright, thanks a lot for joining me. I hope this was helpful. I will be continuing my series on Copic marker coloring. I want to do a really sort of thorough step-by-step sort of series, so I hope you can tune in again. Thanks a lot. Bye.